Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. There's one question at the heart of this investigation into what happened to the £600,000 of the SNP's finances. And that question is, why has Nicola Sturgeon not yet been arrested and questioned under caution? Why has nobody from the police decided that she, the woman at the very, very heart of this investigation, needs to be inconvenienced by being arrested, by being questioned, by having what she knows brought to light? Well, the police are picking up their game. They are going to now quiz SNP officials about what Nicola Sturgeon knew. Still no sign of her being questioned about what she knew. What has Nicola Sturgeon got on the police? What does she know? What control does she have? Why is this woman remaining unarrested, unquestioned, free to wander around, hide evidence, prepare her story? What is going on? Certainly, this police investigation needs to be investigated. We need to know why she has not yet been arrested and questioned. It stinks. It seems, as I say, the entire Scottish justice system exists purely to serve Nicola Sturgeon. Let's have a look at this piece and find out what's going on. But we need to know why she has not yet been arrested. Here goes. So, Police Scotland to quiz SNP officials about Nicola Sturgeon's knowledge of party finances. Why not just ask the girl herself? The video of the former SNP leader telling party bosses that they had never been in a stronger financial position, which of course was a lie, has reportedly led to questions being asked by law enforcement over what she knew. And I've reported on this a few months ago when this all came to light, about her sitting there saying, just take my word for it, the party finance is never stronger, don't question it, don't let anyone question it, we mustn't make any issue of this, because they still relied on the fact that people thought that they had money and that it hadn't all gone, sort of tits up basically, and they needed to perform that con trick in order to carry on getting money from people, and particularly from organisations, because they needed cash, lots and lots of cash. And if it all came out that they'd misspent and basically fraudulently obtained some and spent others, and there was any question of embezzlement and things like that, then it would have run out. The gig would have been up, they'd have had no money, and everyone would have found out a lot sooner. So she undoubtedly knew. And because of that, the police should have arrested her there and then and found out, right, bang, what do you know? And they still haven't. The only thing that can be concluded is that Nicola Sturgeon has got something on Ian Livingstone. But anyway, we'll have a look at this. Police Scotland are going to re-interview SNP officials following the video of Nicola Sturgeon that suggested she knew about the party finances. Reports indicate that officers are planning to speak to a number of the party's former leaders to establish exactly how involved Miss Sturgeon was in the accounts. Why aren't you asking her? Why is she not arrested? A leaked video of the former First Minister adamantly telling members of the ruling body in March 2021 that the SNP's finances had never been stronger is said to be behind the planned questions. The information comes from a senior source close to the investigation that told the Mail on Sunday that former National Executive Committee members are being called in to speak to the police about the 2021 footage that took place prior to the major escalation into a £600,000 worth of missing money. A £110,000 luxury motorhome was seized, and transactions relating to jewellery and gifts are being looked at. Miss Sturgeon is especially close to the controversy, given her husband Peter Murrell's arrest, the searching of her home, and then her name all over the SNP accounts. So why has she not been arrested? This whole investigation, I think, is not just a flawed investigation. I think it is a deliberately sabotaged investigation to ensure that Nicola Sturgeon does not face, a day behind bars. I think it's being deliberately done so that she doesn't have to get arrested, doesn't have to get questioned, and anything that comes up will eventually be gone, in the vagueness of time and people's memories have changed, and there's very little evidence now. And that's what's happening. And I believe this is being deliberately done by the police. The whole justice system is protecting Nicola Sturgeon. Former Treasurer Colin Beattie was also arrested and released, along with Mr Murrell, without charge pending further inquiries, as we've covered 100 times. The party has never been in a stronger financial position than it is right now, said Ms Sturgeon in the video following the resignation of members of her Finance and Audit Committee. She added, "I'm not going to get into the details, but just be very careful about the suggestions that there are problems with the party's finances, because we depend on donors to donate. There are no reasons for people to be concerned about the party finances." Big wink. She knew. She said all of us need to be careful about not suggesting that there is. In other words, we know that the finances are in a dire position, but we mustn't say anything. We must continue the con. We must keep getting money out of those suckers who we are convinced, or we're convincing, that everything is fine. I've spoken with Police Scotland, said, as the investigation is ongoing, we're unable to comment further, which is rubbish. An SNP spokesman said the SNP has been cooperating fully, which is also a lie, and will continue to do so, also a lie. Further, however, it is not appropriate to publicly address these issues at this time. Yes, it is. Even senior policemen are saying, yes, it is. What they're all saying is, we want this problem to go away, and if we stop talking about it long enough, eventually people will forget. People are not going to forget. They want this woman arrested. They want this woman questioned. They want this woman in court. And preferably, they want this woman in a jail cell. She is undoubtedly at the heart of this. And her little sphincter must be doing that. This is all coming out. But the thing is, why are the police questioning these officials again? And yet they haven't questioned her but once. It stinks. It absolutely stinks. It reeks of corruption. It reeks of a deliberate obfuscation of this investigation. I tell you, it is so flawed deliberately. It is sabotage. They're just sabotaging it. Anyway, I shall round off and come up. So there you are. Still no arrest for Cranky. And yet all those around her keep getting arrested time and time again, so that they can be questioned on what she knows. If that doesn't tell you that this investigation is deliberately designed to ensure she remains free, I don't know what does. And that's why an outside force must investigate Police Scotland. And indeed, Police Scotland must be broken up and back into 5 or 6 different forces, just that you can't have this level of perceived corruption, where you've only got to really get one chief constable in your pocket and you're home free. Anyway, I shall round off there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and if you're about to embark on a long period of crime, make sure you've got your chief constable in your pocket. And goodbye.